In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, it is just about 5 minutes or so after Oklahoma freshman Jeremiah Fears just put on an absolute phenomenal performance against Michigan. So James and I, we're going to share our thoughts on Fears' 30-point game. We're going to talk about how high can he go in the NBA draft. And James has a player comparison. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my brother, James Barlowe. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, visit fanduel.com to get started. Also, check out the Locked On newsletter. Your favorite Locked On NBA podcast has a newsletter. You can check it out at lockedondaily.com. That is lockedondaily.com. It is the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage, and it is delivered right to your inbox every single morning. Again, lockedondaily.com. And if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop, because we're coming at you at least 5 days a week, sometimes twice a day. And on nights like tonight, I wouldn't say it's breaking, but it's 10:49 p.m. Central Time. I'm tired. I told James, like, man, let's just do it in the morning. Fears hits the 4-point play. I'm like, all right,
let's go.
Let's go. Let's do this. So let's talk about it. Jeremiah Fears had 30 points against Michigan. This was the game of the night for me. Even before he went off, this was the game that I really wanted to see. I know there was a lot of people that thought the UConn Xavier game was a good matchup. It was, but I wanted to see Fears and Danny Wolf. And I was gonna say I got my money's worth, but I didn't pay for it. I watched it at home. And Fears, hey man, I had him at number 10 on my latest big board that came out Monday. Might be a little bit too low. You had him at number 7, but you had him at number 7 on December 2nd. So you were really early to the party. What did you see in Fears early that the rest of the draft community is seeing now?
Speed, paint touches, creativity. Sometimes, man, it's just right in front of your face, and I know the thing that I try to do, and I'm not trying to say that I'm an expert, but the thing that I try to do is I try really hard to get rid of preconceived notions and holding on to guys, right? So going into this draft, I told you, I thought Nolan Traore was going to be the second pick, and he has not played.
Second pick or second best point guard?
No, I thought he was going to be the second pick. If we had this conversation in June, okay, right? I was thinking it was flag Traore, right?
If he didn't suit up this season, he might
for sure. And if Edgecombe didn't suit up, he'd probably go 3. But
yeah,
that's neither here nor there. But I try to go into it, and I see what I see, and I try to see things that I think will project going forward. And like I said, with Fears, I guess you could say early on, the speed pops. Yep. You can't stay in front of him. Like somebody said, he gets 2 feet into the paint. Yep. And it's not necessarily a bunch. Sometimes it's a bunch of dribbles, and sometimes it's just 1, 2, I'm gone, right? And then he has creativity. Then, like I said, the size. And I'm just glad, not because I'm right, Raf. I mean, I talk to you offline and, talk my stuff, but he's playing well. And this was a big test for him. And he showed up in every single way possible. And like we mentioned before, he could be the Bub Carrington. He's past that. I mean, right now, because it's not a surprise. And for him to play that well, it's almost like we're waiting for his dud game. but he hasn't had a dud game yet. So, like, shout out to Jeremiah Fears. I tweeted 3 days ago he's a top 5 pick, and I think he's going to be higher than the top 5 pick, Rob. Well, I'm gonna just keep projecting, man. He's gonna go higher than 5th.
Okay. Yeah, my comparison was Bub Carrington. Not saying that they play alike or similar. It was just the come out of nowhere. Like Bub
Yeah,
wasn't on anybody's draft boards at the beginning of last year. Got off to a hot start in non-conference play. Kind of fizzled out a little bit during the conference play, but had some strong performances at the end. And I was off base on that. Maybe right about coming out of nowhere, but not only is Fears playing well against higher level competition, it is his team. He's had big performances against Arizona, which Arizona maybe a
it's
little
still
overrated.
Arizona
I mean,
by
it's
name.
Arizona, but it's Arizona by name. It's crazy that ESPN has them with like two or three guys in their top 30. Anyway, but no, he had a big game against Arizona, and then Michigan was another test. Aced the test, flying colors. So
Real
with this
quick,
game,
the Oklahoma State game. I know it was they shouldn't play that game in Oklahoma City. I know that's like the middle point between Stillwater and
it's not the middle point. Norman is like
well,
30
Norman's like
minutes.
5 minutes away, but
Yeah, it's like somewhere
they
like
shouldn't
that.
play that game at a neutral site. That should always be a home and away. But
I
that's
think
a
so. I mean, because it's the biggest city in the state, you're gonna have a huge
state's
fan.
not
I
going to
mean, it's
be.
almost like if you play Texas and Oklahoma and Dallas, even though it's in Texas, you still may get more OU fans there because
I
OU
get
is
it.
huge in
I'm just
the
talking about the atmosphere. The Oklahoma State home game, that's Bedlam, right? Yeah, like that should be on site. But whether or not Oklahoma State is ranked or not, that's a rivalry game, and we talked about that a couple episodes ago. They didn't want any parts of him, so like he's passed every single test, Rob.
Yeah, no, he was. They were running from him. They were running from him. And but no, I mean, tell me your thoughts about like just this game against Michigan. What did you see from him against the Wolverines?
Michigan is big. Danny Wolf is 7 feet playing the four. Golden is 7'1", and we Danny Wolf is gonna play in the NBA. Like he's a 7'1" big. He can move. He can move his feet. He can pass. He's gonna. I think he's gonna get paid. And me and Leaf talked about that over the summer. Like people were like, "Oh, why would you leave Yale to go play basketball?" Like, nah, he's gonna get paid NBA money.
Yeah,
But they couldn't keep him out of the paint, and he kept challenging 2 7-footers in a clogged lane. So when you think about this, Rob, at the next level, the spacing is going to be a lot better. And not only was he like hard to keep out of the paint, he shot 14 free throws, I think, today. He made plays. Paint touches get open threes in college, and they definitely get you open threes in the NBA. They couldn't keep him out the paint. He had a 3-pointer where or not a 3-pointer. He had an assist where he drove to the basket, going left us in the second half, late in the second half, when they were making their comeback. And he hit, I believe it was Kobe Elvis on a relocation three. Like that was poise and playmaking. He, like I said, and I'm gonna keep saying it, and Draft Twitter is saying it. He checks every single box.
yeah, he definitely did against Michigan. Again, here's the stat line: 34 minutes played, 30 points, 8 of 12 from the floor, 3 of 4 from deep, 11 of 13 from the free throw line, had 4 assists. And like you said, he lived in the paint against a team that is bigger than some NBA teams. I mean, the NBA game and college game is different, but they have 2 7-footers. He was able to get in the paint, draw fouls. Phenomenal performance. If there was like a knock, is that he did have 5 turnovers. He
He's
has
gonna
turned the
turn the
ball
rock over,
over,
man. I'm
but
gonna live with some of them. There were a couple late down the stretch. You're like, all right, man, but you gotta. I'd rather my guy, and this may not make sense to some people, but I'd rather you make turnovers because you're trying to make plays than you hold on to the ball because you're afraid to make plays. Like you gotta. It's just like football. The best quarterbacks are gonna try things. It just happens that way. So I can live with the turnovers. you know, get it down. Just be a 1.5 to 1 guy by the end of the year, and I have no issues.
It's kind of like quarterbacks. You got your game managers and you got your gunslingers. I'm gonna lean towards a gunslinger
Yeah,
every
just not
time.
like Jameis Winston though, because
Hey, Jameis Winston is the best leader of our generation. Like Jameis Winston. Some days if I'm bored, I go listen to some Jameis Winston quotes. All right. Up next, we're going to talk about the 4-point play, and we're going to dig a little deeper into Fears' draft range. And then James has an NBA comparison that I am interested in checking out. But up next, I want to talk about our new sponsor. It is Built Rewards. If you are a renter, listen up and hear me clear. This is a total game changer for you. Thanks to Built, you can now earn points on rent payments, just like you do with groceries or travel. Paying rent now comes with some serious perks, and it is completely free to join. You can earn valuable Built points on your rent and everyday spending at no extra cost. Redeem points for flights, hotel stays, and even future rent payments. With over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels in their program, the possibilities are endless, and you get access to unique experiences that are exclusive to Built members only. I use Built Rewards when I had an apartment. I just moved a couple weeks ago, so I only got to use it for about 2 months, but it was very convenient. And we'll see what my points end up getting me to. But anyway, you can start earning points on rent. Since you're already paying rent, you can join built.com/locked on NBA. That is join built.com/locked on NBA. I'll say it again. Join built.com/locked on NBA. Make sure that you use our link so they know that we sent you. Do not wait. If you live in an apartment and you are renting, start earning rewards today. Next, I want to talk about the Game Time app. Game Time is my favorite app when it comes to purchasing tickets. And it's not just for sporting events, it's for comedy, theaters, plays, and more. What I love about the Game Time app is that they have a feature where you can toggle and get the all-in pricing. You get the total upfront, so you don't have any surprise fees at checkout. You also get a panoramic view of your seat, so you know exactly where you're sitting and your view. And you can see this in the app before you purchase. And speaking of purchases, Game Time has the lowest price guarantee. If you find something cheaper, they will credit you 110% of the difference. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Just create an account. Use the redeem code LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. All right, second segment, the 4-point play. Let me get it to you. They won 87-86. He hits a 4-point play. I thought the game was over. I was actually kind of dozing off because I had planned on going to bed because I got to get up at 5. And I had just texted you. I said, hey, man, we just going to pod in the morning. But so forgive me if I got the scenario wrong. But it's a 4-point play. Oklahoma ends up winning by 87-86. He said on SportsCenter that the play wasn't for him. Either way, if it was for him or if it wasn't for him, he showed, as Skip Bayless would say, a clutch gene. And to me, that just kind of adds another layer to the intrigue because we're talking about one of the youngest freshmen in college basketball, 18 years old, big game. No NBA game is on tonight, so this is a game that a lot of people were watching. It's on the road, but it's a neutral site, but it still is a big game. And he wasn't afraid of the moment, wasn't afraid to take the big shot. Not only does he take the shot, he makes it. 4-point play, leaves with the win. I just think that adds another layer of just intrigue to his game. Like, to me, if you don't have him in your top 10, you're late to the party, I should say, because with his size and speed and ability to get downhill, but also showing that he's not afraid of the moment. And you can also make a case and say that's part of his turnovers too. He's not afraid to fail. We talked about that with as far as Yakachonis and so on. So I think that he has solidified himself as a top 10 pick at the very minimum. I got him at number 10, but I need to move him up. I definitely need to move him up. And when you said you had him at number 7, I remember reading the comments, and I'm curious to see if this person responds after this game
On YouTube.
On YouTube, he said you were crazy for putting him in the top 7. I think you said you could move him in the top 5, and he was like, top 5 over who?
Hey man, you gotta wait for me to drop that information. But listen, Ralph, 4-point play, freshman on the road, big time, man. You know, they on Sports Center, I believe it was Scott Van Pelt. We call those onions, man. He's not afraid of the moment. And like you mentioned, down the stretch, the older guys, Oklahoma, a lot of transfers, leading scorer, Georgia Tech transfer. They were feeding the 18-year-old freshman the ball. And it goes back to something that me and you definitely agree on. We don't always agree on everything, but we definitely agree on this. Point guards, go where you're going to get the basketball. He's at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a football school through and through, right? They are not a blue blood. Now, Trae Young came through there. Blake Griffin's come through there. Now it's
Buddy
Jeremiah
Hield.
Fears time. Who else?
Buddy Hield.
Go where you're going to get the basketball. Go where you're going to get an opportunity to be great. And there are other schools like Oklahoma. Now, shout out to the coach, Porter Moser, because this is the second time when the game gets tight and it gets down the stretch and we need a bucket, he's not running too many plays. He's not running anything really complicated. He says, look, we're going to go pick and roll with our best player. I dare you to keep him out the paint. And they got shooters around him, and he finds them.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
If I'm a freshman, listen, Ralph, if I'm a 2025 guard and I feel like I'm really like that, I know Fear is not going to be there next year. Maybe I'm moving Oklahoma up in my top whatever these kids do.
Or if I was a highly touted guard and I'm in a situation where I didn't get a chance to show it at my current school, I might be hitting OU up on that portal. And here's something that may come off a little controversial. I like Ian Jackson, right?
Okay.
I would watch Ian Jackson in the second half against Florida, and I'm like, this is a guy that should have went to a school where he had total freedom to have the ball in his hands. Like Ian Jackson has size. At first, I didn't know what position he was. I was like, he's not a 1, he's not a 2, but he's shooting 40-something% from 3, and he has boogie. You put him on an island, he's got shake and bake. I mean, he's just a naturally gifted, instinctive scorer, and he is a player that I imagine, again, I'm just guessing here. He could be looking at what Jeremiah Fears is doing at OU, and it's like,
dang.
Exactly. like, like dang, because I feel like he has the talent to be a lead guard, and I think it would help his draft style. I mean, I think North Carolina has to make some type of changes and give him the keys, but you know, they're anyway, I mean, what are they, like 6 and 5? 5
Man,
and whatever.
They got beat tonight, did they?
Yes, yesterday they lost to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think like it's something that we've been talking about multiple times this season, whether it was a Yegor, the right fit, the right system, and if you are a ball handler that, I mean, you got to put yourself in a position to where you can get in and get out. And Jeremiah Fears wasn't as highly touted as Ian Jackson or some of the other guys, whether it's Jalil Bethea, but picking the right school is going to be very, very beneficial for his draft stock.
Pick the right school. Pick a school that's in these power 4, 5. I still don't know what it is. You're gonna be on TV. You're gonna play those blue bloods still. Give yourself an opportunity to make some money or improve your draft stock. I'm just saying, man. I'm not going to a blue blood if I'm not one of those guys. If I'm close, though, come on now.
But the key thing is you have to have not only the talent, but you have to have the mentality
Yes.
to lead. And it's not as easy as it may seem to go from being the man in high school and then coming on a college campus where you got dudes that's 23 and 24 years old, and you make them respect you as the man. But Jeremiah Fears has done all of that. All right, up next, we're going to talk about his NBA comparison. And during the game, I got a few texts from different people in the industry, and I was asking them who their comparisons are. So you'll be surprised at some of the ones that I've received via text, but I definitely want to hear yours. But before we get into the last segment, let's talk about America's #1 sports book, which is FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, like I mentioned. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it is all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, so much more. And it is on the same page where you place your bets. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All righty, last segment. So let's just get right to it. Who is your NBA comp?
No. I want you to read the text messages, or not read them, but tell me who they said first.
So I'm gonna take the weak way out of this. I haven't come up with one yet. Someone told me Kyrie and Jamal Murray. I don't necessarily see that. Someone mentioned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the only reason I see Shai is because he likes to use SGA's like reverse pivot turnaround in the paint.
Good note of that, but go ahead.
Yeah, he did that a couple times today where he got the ball. And I mean, SGA is, I don't even know how to describe his game.
That dude is
slippery,
slippery slow.
Yeah, I mean, his game is unique. It's a one of one. But again, Fears does have the get to the paint, reverse pivot, mid-range pull-up that I see a little SGA in that. So I thought that was not a full apples to apples comparison, but I see a little shades of that. But I want to hear yours.
Grab my notes real quick. Sometimes I write down my rhymes sometimes. All right, so the guy that I am going to compare Jeremiah Fears to, again, this is not a one-to-one comparison, but I think there are some similarities, Raf. I think Jeremiah Fears reminds me most of De'Aaron Fox.
Okay, elaborate.
All right, so 6'3", 6'4", again, depends on the shoes and the tape measure we use. Lightning quick, can't keep him out the paint. Good size, great speed, rim pressure point guards who can pass, but are definitely looking to score. I got some numbers. Freshman year, only year, De'Aaron Fox at Kentucky, graduated in 2017, 62.2% at the rim. Jeremiah Fears, currently, again, not counting tonight's game, 64% at the rim. All right. Free throw rate. De'Aaron Fox is at 47%. Jeremiah Fears, again, not counting today, that's probably going to go up, 52.3. Catch and shoot. De'Aaron Fox, 25%. Jeremiah Fears at 29%.
But that's going to go up because he was
going to go up too
today.
Dribble jumper. De'Aaron Fox, 33%. Jeremiah Fears, 30%. All right. Assist percentage, 29% for Fox, 33 for Fears. Now, again, Fox was playing with Malik Monk. He was playing with Bam that season. So, different level of talent around him. And steal percentage, Fox was at 2.7%. Fears was at 4.9%. Again, usage, Fears has a higher usage. I believe he's at 31%. Fox was at like 27. But again, Fox played with two other guys that were drafted in the first round. Fears is going to be the only guy on his team that's drafted in the first round. I'm saying speed, rim finishing, dribble pull up jumper, good passers, but definitely their plays are made when they get downhill. He reminds me the most of De'Aaron Fox, and to the point where he needs to add, because even at the NBA level, Fox, I believe, was like behind Giannis and somebody else for like paint scoring. That's not just guards. He has the pull up jumper in the paint. He doesn't miss like 4 foot, 6 foot like jump shots. Fears adds that. We're talking about. I'm comparing him to a max guy.
So you're saying not only do they have similarities in style of play, but you're even saying statistically there are some
I
similarities.
think that Fox was at 17, 4, and 5, and I believe that's where Fears was prior to this monster game tonight.
Fox was actually one of the few guards that I felt like Coach Cal like let him go, let him do him. Usually, Cal kind of keeps guys under wraps a little bit. I mean, Derrick Rose was one, but even Derrick Rose was,
Derrick Rose was chilling though.
yeah, he wasn't like he wasn't the Derrick Rose we saw in the NBA. He was a little bit passive at Memphis, but then once he got to the NBA, I mean, he turned into an MVP. We all knew Rose was good. He let John Wall get loose at Kentucky, and then Fox. But I actually like the comparison. So it made me think about this. So I saw, and I got some of this information from Leaf, that I think he said all of the SEC teams are in like Ken Palm's top 68. And I've talked to multiple scouts, and I've heard two people actually tell me they think that the SEC conference this year is the best basketball conference of all time, just with the talent in the conference. Now, my mind has to like go back and remember that Texas and Oklahoma are in the SEC. I keep thinking Big 12. And so my question for you is, let's say the SEC is that. It's one of the best or most competitive conferences all time this season. And Fears lights up the SEC. How high can he go? Let's just say he maintains what he's doing now, which, these are the numbers that don't include tonight's game. But he's at 17, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, shooting around 47, 48% from floor, but mixes in some monster performances. How high can he go, in your opinion?
Third, Raf.
You think he can go third?
Absolutely.
All right, go ahead.
Listen, Cooper is Cooper. Cooper is having a great season.
All right, come on. Great. It's not a great season. He's having a very good, very productive season. I'm not. When I think of great season, I'm talking KD. I'm talking Michael Beasley. I'm talking that's like 26-10, 26-12. I'm talking Trae Young, 27-9.
I don't think those are great seasons. I think those are historic seasons.
Oh my gosh. I mean, all right, Dylan Harper. I think he's third in the NCAA in scoring.
Man, listen to me. You're not going to hear me say anything negative about Dylan Harper. I'm saying this. Flag is having a great season. He's 17 and he's leading Duke.
Man, I can't wait till he turns 18 so we don't have to hear he's 17 anymore. He's got to have a birthday coming up. It's only like 12 days left.
He's like 17.9.
Hurry up and turn 18, Cooper. Right, you watch a game, they're going to tell you 9 times. I'm 17 years old, Bob. I'm like, dude, when is your birthday, Cooper?
Whether you don't like the 17 and a half, whatever. Flag is having a great season. Sometimes it doesn't look great, but, statistically, he's having a great season. Not historic, Ralph. I'm sorry. Harper is having a great season as well. Yeah, he's shooting like 75% at the rim. And then you got Jeremiah Fears, who, if he is the next De'Aaron Fox, we're talking about all-star level talent. We're talking about max player. We're talking about franchise point guard. And I feel like when you combine the current skills with what you project him to have, his upside is higher than your Ace Bailey's. I'm a Trey Johnson fan.
People are going to. Ooh, they're gonna be
That's
in the comments
that's
on that
fine,
one.
man. Listen to me, man. My ad is right there. I comment on the YouTube. I don't care. I say what I feel. But his upside, Ralph, in the game in the NBA, where spacing is at a premium, right? Rebounding guards eat. Guys who you can't keep off the paint eat. Guys who get to the foul line eat. He checks every single box.
Yeah, no, I
It's
agree.
like the thing that you want him to get better at, which is shooting, obviously, and taking care of the ball. Those things can be fixed. But
And
the
we've seen
natural
flashes.
stuff,
We've seen the flashes of the shooting. We've seen him make the mid-range shots. We've seen him have multiple games where he was efficient from three. He was 3 or 4 tonight. I definitely see three level score.
he can pass too. I know he turns the ball over, but he can legit. He's not just fast. He's not just like in transition. He's fast. And if you dare to come up there a few feet behind the 3-point line, he's blowing by you. But from the 3-point line under, he can change speeds, Ralph.
And he's creative. We talked about that a couple of days ago when he hit the man from Oklahoma State with 7 crossovers.
He's just playing with that man.
I love the fact that he's getting better and more comfortable. When I first saw him play, I really liked the talent, but I was like, he looks a little young. Like he
still looks like a little kid.
No, but I was just talking about like the way he was playing. Like he looked like he was just really talented and didn't know how to run an offense. And now the game is, it's cliche. You hear people say it all the time, but the game is slowing down to him. He's learning how to use his speed, and then he's knowing how to like slow down and use his creativity. I feel like the first few games, it was just straight speed, just straight line drives. But now, like I said, it's slowing down. He's changing pace. And again, it's probably my third time saying this. Phenomenal performance tonight. Big game on TV. Not a lot going on. Not only does he score 30, but he hits the game-winning shot on a 4-point play
against a really good Michigan team, too.
Good Michigan team. So I'll wrap up on this. I think there are some people that are afraid to like have him do a big jump on their big board. Like they want to gradually do it. And the reason why is because he wasn't on there in the first place. And like for me, I don't have a problem having a guy go from not ranked to top 10. I just trust my gut. But I do think some of the mainstream boards are slowly and gradually going to put him up. I thought the Arizona game at the minimum should put him in a lottery. And this game, hey, this game at the very minimum, in my opinion, should put him where you had him at on December 2nd, when you had him at number 7. And I apologize to you for raising an eyebrow, thinking like, hey, man, that's a little generous to put him there. But hey, man,
listen,
so far,
7 might have been a disservice to him.
Hey, 16 days later, you look like a genius. And so, we still got a long way.
They told me I was nice with it in kindergarten, man. They just didn't know I was, draft nice with it. But it's all right.
We still got a long ways to go to June, but I'm with you. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. For you listening on YouTube, in the comments, share with us who you think Jeremiah Fears' comparison is, and where would you rank him? Is James crazy for having him at number 7? Let us know. Once again, it's Rafael and James. Check out the Locked On newsletter, lockedondaily.com, and we are out of here.